There's a kind of urgency that lives quietly inside all of us. A constant restlessness that makes us feel like we need to fix everything right away. Whether it's something broken in the world outside or a feeling of discomfort deep within. We often believe that the solution has to be immediate, dramatic, and all-encompassing. We convince ourselves that change must happen quickly, that healing must happen overnight, and that clarity should appear the moment we ask for it. But that's not the way Krishna guided transformation. When Arjuna stood frozen on the battlefield, overwhelmed by emotion, Krishna didn't demand that he suddenly become fearless. He didn't scold him for being confused or expect him to snap out of it instantly. What Krishna offered instead was something many of us overlook: time, presence, and patience. He walked with Arjuna, not ahead of him. He listened deeply. He let Arjuna feel every part of his confusion before speaking a single word of guidance. Because Krishna understood something we often forget: real change cannot be rushed. It has to be welcomed. It has to grow from within. The soul does not bloom in chaos or under pressure. It opens only when it feels safe and seen. If you read the Gita closely, you'll notice something subtle but powerful. Krishna doesn't begin with instruction. He begins with presence. He gives Arjuna space to break down. He allows the pain to surface. And only when Arjuna has emptied himself of resistance does Krishna begin to guide him. Not forcefully, but gently, with clarity. This is exactly what verse 6.5 speaks of, when it says, "Let a person lift themselves by their own self." It doesn't say to fix everything at once. It doesn't ask for dramatic change overnight. It points to a much quieter kind of growth, one that comes step by step, with care and awareness. A journey where the mind is guided, not dragged. Where the heart is met, not pushed. In today's world, we are constantly told to hurry. We measure progress in quick wins and overnight results. If something feels broken, we want it solved immediately. If we are lost, we want instant direction. But what Krishna shows us through his calm, steady approach is that when we rush change, we end up recycling the same confusion, just with new language. Because shouting at the mind doesn't calm it. Pressuring the heart doesn't soften it. What truly brings transformation is being seen, deeply, quietly, and without expectation. That's why Krishna didn't give Arjuna a list of instructions. He didn't overwhelm him with lectures. He gave him something much more powerful: a mirror. And in that mirror, Arjuna began to recognize his own strength hiding beneath the fear, his sense of purpose beneath all the confusion. True change doesn't come from guilt or shame. It comes from clarity. And clarity, most of the time, takes time. We often think we are stuck because we are not moving fast enough. But sometimes, what we really need is to slow down even more. To stop running from what hurts. To stay with what's uncomfortable long enough to understand it. To listen, not just to the loud thoughts, but to the quiet ones underneath, the ones that whisper instead of shout. If you look at nature, you'll see this rhythm everywhere. Trees don't rush to grow tall. Rivers don't push themselves to reach the ocean in a day. Seasons don't apologize for how long they take. Everything real moves slowly, but every single thing arrives exactly when it's meant to. You don't have to force yourself to become someone new overnight. You don't have to fix every piece of your life by tomorrow. All you have to do is begin. Not with panic, but with patience. Not with pressure, but with presence. That's how the shift begins. That's the kind of transformation Krishna quietly models in the Gita. It's not about drastic change or dramatic turning points. It's about making space inside yourself. Space to feel. Space to understand. Space to grow. And if you feel like you are not healing fast enough, not learning quickly enough, or not changing the way you hoped to, remember this: even Arjuna needed time. Even he, the great warrior, broke down in the middle of his journey. And Krishna, instead of rushing him, simply stayed. So maybe today, you don't need a new strategy or a bigger plan. Maybe what you need is to just breathe, to listen gently to yourself, to stop judging your pace, and start trusting your process. Because sometimes, the strongest kind of change isn't the one that explodes into action. It's the one that begins quietly, with a small decision to show up, with the quiet choice to begin again, with the courage to be slow, and still keep going. And when you move with that kind of patience, not rushing, not forcing, your journey begins to deepen. Your clarity begins to rise. And eventually, without even realizing it, you find yourself transformed. Not because you raced to the finish, but because you walked with care and let your soul lead the way.